Let me hold your hand when I say this. We do not move to America because we think it's a better country. We move here because it's a little less worse than our other countries. Because you're stupid to think that we moved to this country for some hot dogs and some baseball. We have better vibes, music, food, culture, history, literally all of the above. We just move here because we are looking to make more money and offer a better chance for our families. Did you know that the minimum wage a day, not an hour, a day in Mexico is not even 15 American dollars? Not even 15 American dollars. Right now with $15 in San Diego, I could go maybe buy a matcha and half of a granola bar, honey. If you support ICE, you support people getting destroyed. If you support families getting destroyed, I hope you rot in hell. And I will see you there, babes, for sure.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about the truth serum that is coming out of the mouths of some migrants who are defending the illegal immigrants, right? Because a lot of people have asked questions about why is it that all of these people who are upset with the mass deportations, aka sending people back to the countries that they're from, why are they waving the flags of their foreign countries if they don't want to be sent back to their countries, right? It doesn't make any logical sense, but we're getting some answers to these questions. You have some of these immigrants who are living in the United States of America. Apparently, they don't really like America. They are admitting that, hey, we're only here to use America for our money, right? For our tax dollars, in order to send money back to their family in their home country. And they're basically, again, just using America in order to help themselves. And they really don't like this country. They hate this country. And they really want to go back to their home countries. Okay, this is what some individuals are admitting online.
All these people holding up the Mexican flag, but nobody wants to live in Mexico. If we wouldn't want to live in Mexico, then why the fuck do the tios, the señores, the men, and the women too? They be working here for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. They just live in one room sharing it with a bunch of dudes. They send all their money back so they can build houses for their families, and they can't wait. They're just counting down the minutes in a year until when they can actually go back. Even las familias that live here, buying houses over there too. Every Mexican that I know own their houses here. They buy a house in Mexico too. They're building it or they're already bought it. So yes, nobody wants to live in the United States. I was born in the United States and I don't want to live in the United States. The next 5 years, I'm moving back to Mexico. Yes, we do want to live in Mexico. The only thing is that we're just making money here so we can actually go back to live in Mexico. Bitch, ain't nobody trying to live in this fucking sweatshop of a country with a Gucci belt on. The fuck?
Life can change in an instant. One moment you're fine, the next, well, everything is different. You're left with questions, with pain, with the feeling that you've been wrong. And the system, well, it feels like it is built against you. This is why you need somebody that's on your side, somebody that understands, somebody that will fight for you. At Morgan & Morgan, they're not just lawyers, they're advocates. They're here to give you a voice when yours feels lost. They've recovered billions for people just like you. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, takes on all types of injury cases from car accidents to medical malpractice. They fight for your rights and the compensation that you deserve if you become their client so that you can focus on healing. They've achieved significant verdicts over the past few months for the victims involved in life-altering car crashes, like out in Florida, a $12 million verdict, which was over 34 times the highest insurance offer. And they work on a contingency fee basis, which means that you don't pay unless you win. It's really that simple, to be honest with you. So you can start your claim now with Morgan & Morgan at forthepeople.com/Black Conservative, which will be in the description below, right? The link will be in the description below, or you can scan the QR code on the screen with your phone's camera. Yeah. So you seen that, you heard that. Okay, you have these people who, again, love Mexico so much. They love their country so much. They are admitting that, no, we actually don't like the United States of America. Okay, we actually hate it here. We're only here for the money, right? So, again, it's not about seeking asylum. It's not because they're oppressed. It's not because they're coming over here because they, I don't know, might be killed in the country that they're from. No. Some of these people just flat out saying, no, our country's actually better, right? Our home country is better. We would rather be there. We just can't make a lot of money there, right? So we're just here only to make the money. We're here to take your money and to leave, right? We're building our houses. We're sending your dollars, okay, back to Mexico, back to these other countries to build up our stuff. And then we're leaving because we hate America, right? We don't really like America. And this is why we should be taxing remittances, okay? Not only should we be mass deporting the illegals who are working in these jobs and taking their money and sending it back to Mexico, right, in these other countries, instead of keeping it here in the United States of America, again, we should be taxing them out the door, right? And also closing the border as well, too, since Mexico is so great, right? It seems to me that Mexico is not really great without the U.S. dollar, right? Mexico is only great when you have the U.S. dollar supporting you, right? When you go to Mexico with the U.S. dollar, all of a sudden it's great, right? But when you don't have the U.S. dollar, it's not great. So let's take away the U.S. dollar, right? Let's take that away. And, hey, let's see how great Mexico actually is, right? I'm just saying, right? I think that's what we should do. You know, hey, this is why I am in support of these ICE raids, raiding these work sites, right? Deporting these illegals, okay? Even the ones that are, again, working in these jobs that, you know, the mainstream liberal media, they claim that Americans don't want to work, but I don't think that's really true. I think that these businesses just like taking advantage of slave labor so that they can pay lower wages. They can depress the wages of the American workers. And, I don't think that can fly anymore, right? This is not something that we can allow big business to get away with anymore. We got to take away the slave labor, okay? And that's essentially what the Trump administration is doing after they decided that, no, we're actually going to ramp up the enforcement at these work sites. So let's get into it.
Hey, Marky, good morning. Well, in one word, we can sum it up: panic, as those temporary ICE raids are now that pause is back and ICE is back in full force.
It's a ghost town pretty much right now.
Entire shifts vanish overnight. Downtown Los Angeles markets, vibrant for the last several decades, now deserted. Immigrants, even legal ones, afraid to show up for fear of being swept up.
My workers got a little bit spooked last week because they saw a couple people outside, so they're like, I'm out of here. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, you know.
The pause on ICE raids at farms, hotels, and restaurants lasted 4 days before the Trump administration reversed course and resumed enforcement. Once again, in those businesses and even food processing plants, the fear is real and it's having real consequences. In California and Texas, some farms are operating at just 30% capacity. Restaurants in LA closing early or skipping lunch altogether. And at least one Midwest meatpacking plant, dozens of workers arrested last week alone. ICE now targeting construction sites and Home Depots in multiple states.
Ahorita precisamente nosotros estamos parados.
Leticia is a day laborer who doesn't want to show her face. She says going to work is like walking straight into the lion's den because it's not safe. But she says some have no choice. And without a clear plan to backfill these positions, the labor shortage could spread. Already we're seeing labor shortages and crop delays in the ag industry, restaurants cutting hours and short-staffed hotels, reduced production at food processing plants, and work stoppages and slowdowns at construction projects.
40% of the workforce in the construction industry is immigrant, both documented and undocumented. Where are you going to get the labor? As it is, there is a shortage of labor.
Where are you going to get the labor? We have 7 million unemployed men, okay? California has millions of homeless people. The labor is there, right? You got to make them work, okay? Get them off the government. Get them off the drugs. Make them work to survive, right? Make them work to live. The labor is there, okay? It's there. The main motivation behind these illegals coming to the country, again, is economic. They're doing it because they have to. Again, if you put some people in the same position here in America, where it's like, if you want to eat, if you want to live, if you want to survive, you got to work, then they'll work. The problem is that they don't have to work in order to survive, and that's the problem, right? So people keep talking about where are you going to get that labor from? It's there. We have it. It's just that you have to change the incentive structure. You got to get people off of the government teat. Get them off the government teat and make them work. If you got to survive, and you got to work in order to survive, then yeah, people going to work. They go sign up to do these jobs, right? And the wages will probably be better because again, you're not competing with individuals who are willing to work for basically nothing, right? Because again, they're sending all their money back to Mexico, right? And they're foreign countries where, hey, minimum wage here in America kind of goes a long way, right? In some of these other countries. So yeah, I mean, there are solutions that there just has to be leadership that is willing to make the solutions work, right? You got to make some hard decisions. You got to have to cut some people off, right? To make them sign up and get these jobs.
Rebuild. So the very same people that are rebuilding, that are cleaning up, that's the very same people that's been persecuted.
The White House says this is about enforcing the law, but business owners are calling it an economic self-inflicted wound.
Right here, so it's all about just moving your profits, right? You can't, I don't know, maybe a couple months, if that. I mean, with the whole rent and stuff being here so steep, I mean, you can only last so long without, So maybe 1 or 2 months max, maybe.
So the biggest fear among workers and the businesses who rely on them is this only round one? What comes next? And at that point, how long are these industries going to be able to hold on before, the supply chain sort of snaps? Big questions moving forward, Marky.
Yeah, well, they said the exact same thing about the tariffs, right? That, this is going to cause massive inflation, empty ships, shortages, right? All these things they were crying about just a couple months ago never happened, right? We've already seen a mass exodus of workers, okay? Apparently 1 million, right, from the workforce over these mass deportations in just a few months, okay, according to the Washington Post. And we haven't seen the so-called mass shortages that these people have been predicting. It's almost as if these people don't make predictions based off what is likely to happen. They make predictions based off what they want to happen, right? It's a lot of fear-mongering about like how important illegal immigrants are to our economy. I'm not saying they're, that they don't have an effect, but they can be replaced. They can, in fact, be replaced. There are people who will sign up for these jobs. In fact, NBC News covered a story out in Nebraska that they're never going to talk about in the mainstream liberal media. You're never going to hear this story because it doesn't fit the narrative about how a meat packing facility, how they are recovering after a large ICE raid, right? Turns out that you have people lining up for these jobs that are coming available due to the mass deportations, the raids. Let's read here. Every seat in the waiting area of Glen Valley Foods was occupied with people filling out job applications early Thursday afternoon, 2 days after the meatpacking plant became the center of the largest worksite immigration raid in the state of Nebraska so far this year. Dozens of prospective employees, many of them Spanish speakers, had been coming in and out of the plant all day. Some were hoping to land a new job. Others were coming in for training. Yeah, now some people will say, well, a lot of these employees were Spanish speakers. Well, I don't give a damn about that. I'm not asking them to discriminate against people based off what language they speak, right? I'm asking them to hire people who are here legally, right? And Americans, right? That's what I'm asking them to hire. So if they're hiring Americans that speak Spanish, I have no issues with that. If they're hiring people who are here legally who happen to speak Spanish, I have no issues with that, right? As long as they're hiring people who are here legally, okay? And who are Americans. That's the only thing I care about. But yeah, again, you had this large ICE raid and people signed up, right? People immediately signed up to fill these job vacancies, right? Which again is the exact opposite of the narrative that you're seeing in the media. Well, how are we going to find workers? There's a labor shortage. Again, there is no labor shortage. We have millions of men who can work these jobs. Again, a lot of men are being kept out of these jobs because, again, these companies would rather hire illegals than Americans. The scene gave the company's president, Chad Hartman, a glimmer of hope amid the chaos that ensued after Tuesday's raid purged roughly half of his staff, many of whom had been longtime employees of the company, which had been processing boxed beef for more than 15 years. Hartman had never seen or experienced a raid before. He is finding out in real time. There is no playbook on how to move forward after one, Hartman told NBC News. The process of rehiring new workers, Hartman said, feels like asking someone to replace a family member. You cannot, in my mind, he said, they are part of our family and they were taken away. Oh, yeah, my slave labor was taken away. I'm pretty sure that's how the plantation owners felt after the Confederacy lost the Civil War, right? I'm pretty sure they felt similarly to how these individuals are feeling, okay? 76 people working at Glen Valley Foods were arrested by federal immigration authorities Tuesday morning, the Department of Homeland Security told NBC News in an email. Immigration and Customs Enforcement said the arrests were part of an enforcement operation to execute a federal search warrant in connection to an investigation into the large-scale employment of aliens without legal work authorization. Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? We have the labor here, right? We have plenty of people that can work these jobs. Again, we just need the leadership in order to get Americans into these jobs. We need leaders with the cojones to do what they got to do to deport the illegals and to make policy changes that incentivize people to work, right? Rather than to, sit on their butts and live off the government. If those things are done, right, then again, we're not going to have a labor shortage, right? We don't need the illegals, okay? We have automation. We have American workers. We're good, right? We're good. And I'm glad to see that the Trump administration is not backing down to these Democrats when it comes to the mass deportations. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the Democrats have nobody but to blame but themselves because they decided that they wanted to protect the illegals via their sanctuary city policies. Had they cooperated with the president, maybe, just maybe, we wouldn't be going through this right now. Maybe, just maybe, they wouldn't be doing all this. But since Democrats and, their cities don't want to cooperate, these are the consequences. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.